Let's begin with something you might not expect. Your body, even past the age of 60, still holds a remarkable ability to transform. Not just maintain, not just slow the decline, but actually rebuild, reignite, and in some ways, even outperform your younger self when you know how to work with your body, not against it. You see, there's a quiet myth that's lived in the background of aging for far too long, the belief that growing older means fading into weakness. That after a certain age, strength is something you used to have, not something you can still gain. But that narrative, it's outdated, and frankly, it's been proven wrong by science. Recent studies, including one from the American Journal of Physiology, have shown that older adults, even into their 70s and 80s, can build new muscle, improve strength, and regain functionality in ways we never thought possible before. Not with extreme measures, but with the right kind of support, the right signals to the brain, the right fuel for the cells, and perhaps surprisingly with creatine. Yes, the same humble compound once stereotyped as a gym bro supplement is now being seen in a completely different light, as one of the most powerful, safe, and effective tools for older adults looking to reclaim their strength and preserve cognitive health. Here's why that matters. As we age, the issue isn't just that testosterone dips or that we recover slower. It's that the connection between brain and muscle begins to dim. Your nervous system doesn't fire quite as fast. Your cells don't produce energy as efficiently, and your muscles without the right cues begin to shrink. This is where creatine comes in. It supports brain energy. It improves the quality of muscular contraction. And it enhances recovery in a way that matters more after 60 than it ever did in your 30s. Now, let's be clear, creatine is not a hormone. It's not dangerous, and it's certainly not just for athletes. When used appropriately, it's been shown to increase muscle mass, improve strength, support cognitive sharpness, and even protect bone density, a major factor in preventing falls and maintaining independence. So if you've noticed your legs feeling weaker if stairs feel steeper than they used to, if you find yourself avoiding certain tasks just because they're physically draining, you're not alone. But you're also not stuck. Those are not just normal signs of aging, they are signals. Signals that your body needs a new kind of nourishment, a smarter, more strategic kind of support. In this episode, we're going to unpack why muscle loss after 60 has less to do with age and more to do with signaling from the brain and hormones. How creatine uniquely supports both the mind and body, especially in older adults. The exact protocol, timing, dosage, and combinations that make creatine not only safe, but powerfully effective. And how pairing it with the right kind of movement, recovery, and mindset shift can help you reclaim strength and confidence you may have thought was gone for good. This isn't about building biceps. It's about building resilience. It's about standing up from a chair without strain, climbing stairs without hesitation, walking through life with steadier steps and a clearer mind. Because after 60, muscle isn't just about aesthetics. It's about independence, dignity, and living fully without fear. And by the end of this episode, you'll walk away not just with knowledge, but with real, simple strategies you can start today. Tools that can reignite strength, sharpen your mind, and prove that vitality has no expiration date. Because you're not fading, you're evolving, and your strongest chapter might still be ahead. Let's get into it. When we talk about aging and muscle loss, the image most people conjure is pretty straightforward. Thinner arms, weaker legs, maybe a slower walk. But the real change, it doesn't start in your biceps. It doesn't start in your quads. It starts in your brain. You see, past the age of 50, something subtle but profound begins to happen in the nervous system. The motor cortex, the part of your brain responsible for telling your body to move, starts to go quiet. Not because it's broken, but because it's underused. And when those signals dim, so does your strength. But that's just the beginning. Your motor neurons, the critical messengers that run from brain to muscle, start to disconnect if they're not regularly activated. This process, called denervation, is one of the most overlooked causes of age-related muscle loss. And here's the key. It often starts years before any visible changes appear. So you may still look strong, but you feel slower, less steady, a little unsure on the stairs. That's not just aging, it's your nervous system losing its grip on the muscles you still have. Imagine your muscles are light bulbs. Your brain flips the switch. But if the wiring, the neurons fray or go silent, it doesn't matter how good the bulb is. It won't light up. That's why strength after 60 isn't just about muscle mass. It's about neuromuscular connection, your brain's ability to recruit and fire the muscle fibers you already have. And that's where creatine enters the picture. Yes, creatine, a natural compound your body makes, lives not just in your muscles, but also in your brain and spinal cord. And what it does is simple, but powerful. It fuels your cells by helping regenerate ATP, the energy every neuron and muscle fiber depends on. In 2019, a study published in Neurobiology of Aging found that older adults taking creatine had improved neuromuscular performance, even without intense exercise. Why? Because creatine supports the brain's ability to activate muscle tissue more effectively. Not just more power, but more control. And here's the best part. You don't need a gym membership or heavy weights to benefit. A small, consistent habit, just 5 grams of creatine monohydrate daily, paired with simple, intentional movement, like walking, light resistance bands, or even standing from a chair slowly and with control, can begin retraining your brain and body. So ask yourself, have you noticed yourself hesitating before standing, feeling unsteady stepping off a curb, taking longer to react to sudden movement? That's not just your muscles, that's a signal from your nervous system. And the good news, you can respond to it, because strength isn't just something you used to have, it's something you can rebuild from the inside out. It's your nervous system calling out not for more effort but for smarter fuel and better signals. The decline we associate with aging, it's not carved in stone. It's not fate. It's often just a case of disconnected systems, a brain that wants to move and muscles that aren't quite hearing the message. But here's the empowering truth. You can rebuild that connection. And it doesn't start with heavy weights or fancy equipment. It starts with something as simple as sitting down and standing up from a chair 10 times once a day. Pair that with just 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, and what you're doing is retraining your nervous system. You're reigniting the communication between your brain and your body, restoring a line that may have gone quiet, but not lost. Because muscle loss after 60 doesn't just begin in the muscle, it begins in the nervous system. And that decline, it's reversible. You don't just need strength training. You need neurotraining, and that's where creatine shines. It's one of the few natural compounds that supports both the mind and the muscle at once. Now, if you've only ever heard of creatine in the context of bodybuilders or athletes, you're not alone. That image has dominated public perception for years, but what it hasn't done is reflect the deeper science. Creatine is already in your body, in your muscles, yes, but also in your brain. Its role, energy regeneration, especially in the small but constant movements that make up daily life. Every single time your muscles contract, whether you're picking up your grandchild, walking across the room, or simply standing upright, your body burns ATP, the molecule that fuels movement. But here's the catch. You only store a few seconds of ATP at a time, and that's where creatine steps in. Creatine helps recycle that ATP by donating a phosphate group, essentially jump-starting your cell's energy system so it can keep going without delay. The more creatine you have stored in your system, the faster and more efficiently your muscles and brain respond to everyday demands. And this matters even more after age 60. A study published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia and Muscle found that older adults naturally carry lower creatine levels, which may explain why tasks that once felt effortless, climbing stairs, lifting a grocery bag, now feel harder. Lower creatine means slower recovery, quicker fatigue, and a higher risk of injury. But here's the good news. This is fixable. Supplementing with creatine restores those levels, and the results are more than just numbers in a lab. In a 2021 meta-analysis of adults aged 60 to 85, those who took creatine gained more muscle strength and lean mass than those who didn't, especially when combined with resistance training. And we're not talking about building beach muscles. We're talking about real-world strength, getting up without pushing off your knees, stepping confidently over curbs, moving through your day with less pain and more control. So how much do you need? It's simple. 5 grams of creatine monohydrate once a day. Take it with a bit of water or alongside a small meal, preferably one with some carbs. No need for loading phases or megadoses. Just consistency. Because when your nervous system and your muscles learn to talk to each other again, you don't just feel stronger. You feel more alive. And that's what this journey is about, not just aging longer, but aging better. A consistent daily dose of creatine builds up in your body slowly, not overnight, but over the course of 2 to 3 weeks. That's when the magic starts to happen. Energy improves, movement feels smoother, muscles feel just a little more awake. And here's the good news. Creatine monohydrate, the same simple form used in nearly every major clinical study, is safe, affordable, and remarkably effective when taken consistently. There's no need for fancy, hyped-up versions. You don't need micronized, buffered, or supercharged powders with inflated price tags. The tried-and-true monohydrate form does the job. Now, a common concern people have, especially those who aren't aiming to hit the gym hard, is this. Will creatine make me bulky? The short answer, no. Not unless you're actively pushing to add significant muscle mass with a heavy strength routine. What it will do is something far more useful. Increase cellular hydration in your muscles, giving them more structure and resilience. Improve how your body uses energy during movement. Enhance subtle but meaningful aspects of function like grip strength, walking speed, and balance. And this is important. It's not just your muscles that benefit. Creatine fuels your brain too. In fact, that might be the most overlooked benefit, especially for people over 60. But before we dive deeper into that, if this conversation is changing the way you think about aging, if it's helping you see muscle loss and fatigue not as destiny, but as something you can influence, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Every week we unpack real science like this. Not fluff, not trends, just clear, actionable insights designed to help you stay sharp, mobile, and independent from the inside out. Because the truth is, creatine is not just for muscles. It's one of the most energy-supportive compounds your brain relies on, especially as you age. Let's break this down. Your brain, despite only weighing about 3 pounds, consumes nearly 20% of your body's total energy. That's a lot of fuel for such a small organ. And every time you search for a word, plan your day, make a decision, or even regulate your emotions, your brain is burning ATP, your body's primary energy molecule. But like muscles, your brain can only store so much ATP. When demand spikes during stress, memory tasks, or long periods of focus, it needs help regenerating that energy quickly. That's where creatine comes in. Just like in muscle, creatine in the brain helps recycle ATP faster. It acts like a buffer system, smoothing out energy drops when mental load is high. And the impact of this is more than just theory. A 2018 study published in Experimental Gerontology showed that older adults who supplemented with creatine experienced significant improvements in working memory, mental clarity, and resilience to cognitive fatigue. Participants weren't just faster on paper. They reported feeling more alert, less foggy, and more able to sustain focus throughout the day. That's real-life quality. So let me ask you something. Have you found yourself forgetting words more often, feeling mentally tired sooner, losing focus halfway through a conversation or a task? That may not just be getting older. It might be your brain running low on fuel. And creatine is one of the few natural, well-studied and low-cost tools we have to refill that tank. This is especially important if you eat mostly plant-based. Red meat and fish are the main dietary sources of creatine, so if they're not regulars on your plate, chances are your body is already working from a lower baseline. The bottom line, creatine isn't about getting huge. It's about staying strong, steady, and sharp in both body and mind. Because real vitality after 60 isn't just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. Here's a simple but powerful practice to add to your day. Take your 5-gram dose of creatine first thing in the morning, and pair it with a cognitive task. That could be reading something thought-provoking, planning your day, or solving a puzzle or challenge that stretches your mind. Why? Because creatine doesn't just support your muscles, it fuels your brain's performance too. Over time, this small daily habit can lead to clearer thinking, better focus, and improved mental endurance, right alongside your physical strength. But there's another layer to this story. Creatine also supports the mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside every cell. As we age, mitochondrial function naturally declines. That's one reason energy levels dip and recovery slows down. But research shows that creatine can help stabilize and protect these vital energy systems. That means more cellular energy, less oxidative stress, and potentially even a reduced risk of cognitive decline and neurodegenerative disease down the road. So when we talk about building muscle after 60, we're not just talking about lifting weights. We're talking about preserving the whole engine, the physical, the mental, and the emotional resilience that allows you to live fully. This isn't just about standing up easier or walking longer. It's about thinking more clearly, feeling more engaged, staying connected to the world around you with confidence. That's why creatine isn't just for athletes. It's for anyone who wants to maintain their independence and vitality. Now, there's a persistent myth out there that muscle loss after 60 is inevitable, that no matter what you do, strength just keeps slipping away. But the truth, the science tells a different story. Sarcopenia, the age-related decline in muscle mass and function, isn't just preventable. In many cases, it's reversible. In fact, older adults often gain more strength in their 60s, 70s, even 80s than they did in their 30s. Why? Because now they're training with purpose, and they're giving their body the fuel it needs like creatine to respond. Let's look at the data. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who combined creatine supplementation with resistance training 3 times per week made significantly greater gains in strength and muscle size than those who trained without it. And the biggest improvements, they showed up in lower body strength, the kind that keeps you steady, stable, and less likely to fall. So what does this mean for you? It means that creatine doesn't replace movement, it enhances it. It's not a shortcut. It's an amplifier. It helps your muscles recover faster, perform more reps, and bounce back stronger after each session. Think of it like this. If movement is the spark, creatine is the fuel that keeps the fire burning. Even if you're training just a few times a week, you're not just maintaining your body, you're investing in a better, more energized, more capable version of yourself. Because aging well isn't about slowing down. It's about showing up strong in body, clear in mind, and full of life. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need heavy dumbbells. You don't even need to break a sweat to start rebuilding strength. All it takes is consistency and the right signals sent to your body. Even simple at-home resistance movements, done with purpose, can activate a powerful biological process known as muscle protein synthesis, the very mechanism your body uses to build new muscle tissue. Here's a weekly starter protocol that fits into nearly any lifestyle. 3 days a week, just 3. Start with bodyweight squats to a chair. 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. This strengthens the largest muscles in your legs and reinforces safe standing patterns. Follow up with core and balance work. Try standing leg lifts or single leg balance holds 2 sets per leg. These improve coordination, core strength, and reduce fall risk. Optionally, add in resistance band rows for posture and upper body support. Now pair that routine with your daily 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. Taken consistently, this combination signals your muscles to grow, not in bulk, but in density, responsiveness, and resilience. You may be surprised how quickly your body listens. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you felt truly confident in your body? Not just picking up groceries, but trusting your legs to steady you, your core to support you, your balance to hold when you step onto uneven ground. That confidence. It's not gone. It's just waiting for a little attention, and it doesn't take months to return. It takes weeks. And if you're wondering whether your age limits your results, listen to this. In a study published in the Journal of Gerontology, adults aged 70 and up who followed a basic resistance program with creatine supplementation saw over a 50% increase in leg strength in just 12 weeks. That's not just impressive for their age, that actually matched or exceeded the gains seen in participants decades younger. Because this isn't about bodybuilding. It's about being capable again, physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's about returning to a life where your body doesn't hold you back, it carries you forward. And if you found this insight helpful, give this video a like and consider subscribing. Each week we share practical science-backed ways to extend not just your life, but your health span with clarity, strength, and energy that lasts. Because here's the truth, you don't have to age into weakness. You can age into power when you understand the biology and use the right tools. And speaking of tools, let's clear up one of the most common sources of confusion: how to take creatine. The biggest obstacle for most people isn't the supplement itself. It's not knowing when or how to use it. So here's what science says. There's no perfect time to take creatine. Whether it's morning, post-workout, or before bed, what matters most is consistency. Creatine works by building up in your muscles and brain over time. It's not a quick hit, it's a steady charge. Think of it like filling a battery. Once it's full, it's ready when you need it. That said, if you want to optimize absorption, here's a smart trick. Take your 5 grams of creatine with a small meal that includes carbohydrates. Why? Because insulin helps shuttle creatine into your cells more efficiently. Something as simple as a banana, a piece of toast, or a bit of oatmeal does the job beautifully. So no more guessing, no more overthinking. Just simple, steady steps toward a stronger, clearer, more capable you. Because you're not just aging, you're evolving. Now, let's clear up a few common concerns, especially for those of us over 60. Because misinformation often holds people back from trying something that could truly help. Myth 1. Creatine is bad for your kidneys. This one has been circulating for years, mostly due to confusion over early studies that looked at people who already had kidney disease. But in healthy adults, including older populations, the data tells a very different story. Numerous clinical trials, many involving older adults, show that standard doses of creatine, around 3 to 5 grams daily, do not cause harm to kidney function. In fact, a 2022 review in Nutrients found that long-term creatine use is safe, even for older adults managing mild blood pressure issues or metabolic conditions, as long as they stay hydrated. Myth 2. You need to cycle on and off. Nope. Creatine is not a steroid. It doesn't suppress your body's natural production in a harmful way, and there's no need to cycle unless you just want to take a break. Think of it more like vitamin D or omega-3s, something that supports long-term cellular health. Not a performance drug, but a nutritional ally. Myth 3. Creatine causes bloating. Let's break that down. Creatine does pull water into your muscle cells, but that's a good thing. It supports hydration, helps with muscle recovery, and enhances protein synthesis. This water is inside the muscle, not sitting under your skin. At the standard 5-gram dose, most people notice improved performance and very little bloating, if any at all. Now, here's something most people don't talk about. Creatine works best when it becomes part of your life, not something you treat like a temporary fix. So how do you make it stick? Take it with your morning coffee or breakfast. Keep it next to your vitamins. Set a quick daily reminder on your phone. The goal is to make it frictionless, a natural part of your rhythm, not another chore to remember. And here's what to expect. Creatine's effects are subtle at first. You might not feel a huge shift in the first week or two, but somewhere around week 3 or 4, changes often begin to surface, gently but clearly. Stairs feel a bit easier. Your body bounces back faster after movement. You feel more mentally alert in the afternoon. That nagging soreness from light activity, less of it, and maybe most importantly, a quiet return of physical confidence. These changes may be small, but they build. They stack over time. And when paired with resistance training, quality sleep, and good nutrition, the benefits multiply, slowly, steadily, and powerfully. So here's the question worth asking. Would you invest 5 seconds a day for something that could dramatically shape how you move, think, and feel, not just for a season, but for the next decade or two? Because that's what this really comes down to, long-term thinking. Not about chasing youth, but preserving strength, clarity, and dignity as you age. That's the promise of understanding your body and supporting it with the right tools. And that's what this channel is all about, helping you build a body and brain that support the life you want to live, not the one you've been told to settle for. We've already explored how creatine helps rebuild strength, support mental clarity, and improve recovery after 60. But there's another side to this story, one that's only recently coming into focus. Because creatine isn't just a performance booster. It's starting to look like something much bigger, a longevity molecule, one with effects that reach far beyond your muscles. Let's unpack what the science is telling us. In recent years, researchers have discovered that creatine plays a protective role at the cellular level. That means it's involved in reducing chronic inflammation, improving mitochondrial function, and even supporting DNA repair and cell survival under stress. And if you're over 60, that's more than interesting, it's personal. Because aging, at its root, is often driven by something scientists call inflammaging, a slow, steady buildup of inflammation that damages tissues over time. This low-grade inflammation contributes to weaker muscles, stiffer joints, and even faster cognitive decline. But here's the encouraging part. In animal studies, creatine supplementation has been shown to lower inflammatory markers like TNF-alpha and IL-6, two cytokines heavily linked to muscle loss and neurodegenerative diseases. That means creatine may do more than help you recover from a workout. It may help your entire system recover from the wear and tear of everyday life. And that brings us to your mitochondria, the tiny engines in every cell that produce your energy. As we age, they naturally slow down, generating less power and more oxidative stress, which leads to fatigue and tissue damage. But creatine helps buffer that stress, protecting your mitochondria and allowing your cells to keep producing energy efficiently. It's like giving the engine in your car a cleaner, better fuel. The result is smoother, longer-lasting performance. One review published in Aging Research Reviews concluded that creatine supplementation improved muscle energetics and mitochondrial health in older adults, especially those who remained physically active. So here's the big takeaway. Even if your goal isn't to lift more weight or build visible muscle, creatine can still help slow down biological aging by supporting the systems that keep you moving, thinking, and healing. And perhaps the most exciting frontier. Emerging research suggests that creatine may support brain health in conditions like mild cognitive impairment and Parkinson's. It's not a treatment or a cure, but the early data points to creatine as a protective agent, something that helps your brain resist stress and stay sharper for longer. So when you take your daily 5 grams of creatine, remember this. You're not just supporting your muscles. You're feeding your mitochondria. You're easing the burden of inflammation. You're investing in your resilience physically, cognitively, and cellularly. And that's not hype. That's a wise, long-view approach to aging grounded in science and rooted in the belief that your best years don't end at 60. They begin with understanding your body and supporting it the way it deserves. You're sending your body a signal not just to survive, but to thrive. To stay strong, stay balanced, stay present in your own life. This is the new frontier of supplementation, not about chasing youth, but about adding life to your years. And that's what we believe here. That with the right knowledge, consistent habits, and the right tools, you can extend your health span, the years of life when you're not just alive, but truly living. If this message resonates with you, drop a comment below. Share your experience with creatine, or let us know what questions you'd like us to explore in future videos. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community of people committed to aging with strength, intention, and curiosity. Because we're not here to wind down, we're here to power up with science on our side and vitality as our goal. Now let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered together. We started with a powerful truth that defies decades of outdated thinking. Muscle loss after 60 is not inevitable. It's not your fate. It's a challenge, and a reversible one. One of the most effective, safe, and scientifically validated tools we have to meet that challenge is creatine monohydrate. We covered 6 foundational insights. Creatine is not just for athletes. It's a proven ally for older adults, enhancing both muscle strength and cognitive clarity. It supports the brain under stress, from sleep deprivation to memory tasks, and may help reduce the risk of neurodegenerative decline. It boosts muscle protein synthesis, making every rep, every walk, every simple movement more effective. When combined with light resistance training, it helps reverse sarcopenia, restoring mobility, balance, and confidence in daily life. It's safe, simple, and requires no cycling or complex routines, just consistency. And finally, it supports cellular repair, combats inflammation, and strengthens mitochondrial health, meaning the benefits go well beyond muscles and into the aging process itself. And here's what matters most. You're not at the mercy of aging. You're not a bystander. You're a participant, a co-creator of how you age and how fully you live. Creatine isn't a magic pill, but it is a foundational ally, a compound your body already relies on, now delivered in slightly higher doses to meet the growing demands of time. So here's the key: consistency. Take 5 grams daily. Pair it with simple resistance movement, even just 3 or 4 times a week. Support it with sleep, water, and real nourishing food. The science is clear, but so is the opportunity. If you show up, your body will respond. Maybe not with fireworks, but with quiet, powerful change. A little more strength when you rise from a chair. A little more mental clarity after lunch. A little less soreness when you move the next day. These small shifts stack over time, and week by week, month by month, they become something bigger, more strength, more energy, more freedom, more life. So here's what I invite you to try starting today. Take your first dose of creatine with breakfast. Go for a short walk after. Maybe do 2 sets of chair squats or a few wall push-ups. Then do it again tomorrow, and the next day. Stack the habit, build the rhythm. This isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things and doing them with purpose. Your future self is already thanking you. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right things consistently over time. You now have the knowledge. You have a simple, proven protocol. What's left is action, the small daily choices that quietly build into powerful, lasting change. If this message spoke to you, if it made you feel seen, informed, or just a little more hopeful, then I invite you to subscribe and become part of this growing community. This channel is where science meets intention. We don't chase quick fixes. We build foundations. We don't fear aging, we train for it. So hit like, share this with someone who needs it, and tell us in the comments, What's the first small step you're committing to today? Because no, you are not too old. It is not too late. And your strength, physical, mental, emotional, isn't gone. It's just waiting for you to begin.